Introduction. It's really great to be with you again, and I'm really happy to be at American University, where change makers are changing the world. Groundbreaking leaders in government, academia, and business have walked these halls, and I'm pleased to be here to discuss the Biden administration's approach to digital assets. A few weeks ago, President Biden signed an executive order calling for a coordinated and comprehensive government approach to digital asset policy. Digital assets have grown explosively, reaching a market cap of $3 trillion last November from $14 billion just 5 years prior. Digital assets may be relatively new, but they're part of a larger trend, the digitization of finance, that's been in the making for decades. In 1990, there were fewer than 3 million internet users, and now there are about 4.5 billion. We take for granted that many aspects of our financial lives can be managed from small internet-connected devices that fit into the palms of our hands. This growth in digital services has opened up a world of possibilities and risks that would have seemed fantastical only a few decades ago. Financial services, along with most industries, have evolved in response to exponential advances in computing power and connectivity. Most recently, new technology has raised the possibility of reduced reliance on centralized intermediaries like banks and credit card companies. People using the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto proposed a decentralized peer-to-peer system for making and processing payments. The white paper proposed a novel method for validating transactions using cryptography that addressed the so-called double spend problem. This and other innovations related to distributed ledger technology are the foundation for blockchain-based digital assets.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And guys, I come back with that video just to make you think. And guys, we have Janet Yellen's speech on cryptocurrency. She talks about the innovation and how far cryptocurrency has come. But the most important piece of this speech, she talks about the history of money. And if we go to the coinage clause in the Constitution, the Federal Reserve is illegal. And we know for a fact a CBDC is illegal. And we know the New World Order is going to keep pushing and pushing to get their agenda through by writing it in. The same way they did in 1913, the Federal Reserve, and she doesn't touch on that. We know Janet Yellen and Gary Gensler are the chess pieces in order to get this American economy moved to the fourth industrial revolution, where the robots, algorithms, and drones take over the economy and the sheep go inside the metaverse. And remember, the crypto teacher told you because he knows. When it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Alexander Hamilton bemoaned what he called the immense disorder of the U.S. monetary system. At that time, Americans relied on a variety of domestic and international currencies which were circulating simultaneously. The proliferation of different forms of money really made it difficult to run the economy. So, to help address these concerns, the Bank of the United States was formed in 1791, and it issued notes that provided a relatively stable national currency. In 1792, the Coinage Act was passed that created the U.S. Mint, and it kicked off a century of debate about whether the dollar should be pegged to silver or gold. While these important innovations helped standardize the backing of the dollar, the Bank of the United States did not have lasting political support, and by the mid-1800s, the country relied on a fragmented system of paper notes issued by private banks. Banks in New Jersey issued notes that were different from the ones that were issued in New Hampshire or New York. And because different banks were not seen to carry the same risks, people valued the notes differently. The system of private money, well, it functioned to a degree, but it made transactions expensive and inefficient, and it contributed to bank runs for many decades. So a crisis catalyzed reform. Embroiled in the Civil War, President Lincoln and Treasury Secretary Salmon Chase needed to introduce more stability to our financial system. So Congress passed the National Bank Act, and that allowed banks to issue national bank notes. But the banks had to be adequately supervised, and the notes were required to be backed with U.S. Treasuries. That requirement ensured that $1 in New Jersey was always as good as $1 in New Hampshire. And later, the Federal Reserve Act further institutionalized the national objective of a uniform currency. The development of our currency to its current form, it's been a dynamic process, and it's one that took place over centuries. Today, monetary sovereignty and uniform currency, I believe, have brought clear benefits for economic growth and stability. Our approach to digital assets really needs to be guided by the appreciation of those benefits. Some have suggested that a central bank digital currency could be the next evolution in our currency. A recent report by the Federal Reserve, it opened a public dialogue about CBDCs and the potential benefits and risks that could be associated with issuing one in the U.S.
We're going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
This effort. And China has big plans for this. They intend to seed their digital yuan into the global environment by giving it away to visitors at next winter's Olympics. When they arrive at the airport, they're going to get yuan digital wallets. They're going to receive digital yuan. They're going to use it throughout their visits to Beijing, and then they're going to take it back to their home countries. They see this as a huge advantage. Why? Because who controls the underlying protocols, who controls the underlying standards of the future of money will control the future of money.
Most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids' books. You know, I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the fourth industrial revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.